you handle growing with your partner, right? Because at the end of the day, you're taking a gamble, and because we all change over time, so what if the way that they're changing isn't a direction that you agree with, want to go, want to take the family? What happens if it's so different from like when you met? How do you handle that?
That's a double prong question. Like there's two answers to that. One is, I think that is important to have that first initial conversation, right? Like, in your perfect world, what does a marriage and family looks like? Right? And that's the initial conversation, and people divulge and, this is what I wanted. Normally it's on the superficial level, you know, like I want to travel, and I want to have this. But when you really get down to what everybody wants to do this. But when you really get down to like, what is it? Like what is it that you want out of a partnership, right? Then people kind of start digging in. But where people fail is that they leave it there and expect that to carry on for 10, 15, 20, 30 years.
Which part? The
part of this is what I want. Right? And that want, they leave it there, and it kind of like, they wrap it and they leave it there, assuming that that's the same crap I want 5 years from now. Could you say that what you find important now, you found important 5 years ago?
With some changes, yes.
10 years ago?
Yeah, 10 years ago, no way.
No way. Yeah. So for us, I think that what we've been able to maneuver very, very well is like check-ins, right? Like
you check
twice a year. Yeah, like twice a year. Hey, listen, like this is what I want. These are my goals. What do you think? Then the other person's going to say, well, I think you should do this. I think you should do that. I think also identity outside of your marriage is important. I am who I am outside of us.
Are you and your husband similar?
We're not. At literally polar opposites.
Yeah.
Like opposite ends of the spectrum. He is quiet, reserved, has very little opinion, which works for me, right? Yeah. But we're very, 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 very different. But our common, like the thing that foundation, what we're rooted in, is parallel.
Gotcha. So so that makes sense actually, because you want the same things in terms of your relationship, your life, and like the other things, your opposites, right? What would you call it? Superficial things, or just like day-to-day small things?
Day-to-day small things. Yeah.
You balance each other nicely, it sounds like.
100%. I always say, like, I'm a hugger. I love to have conversations. If he would have walked in the room, he goes and sits down. Hey, how are you? And that is as much as you're going to get from him.
Yeah, he's an introvert,
basically. Yeah. Now, if he's comfortable with you and he's known you for a while, then it's a different relationship. But I am more so like I go in head first and then, reel it back.
Which makes sense given what you do for a living.
Right.
As well, right? Because you have to be that person that initiates with people and start and like have a genuine interest in people, which is really, really hard for introverts in this business.
Right. I agree.
Some people have to like force themselves to do it. I mean, I could say I was one of them, right? Like I was very introverted in my early 20s when I started, and then over time became more comfortable, and it's a lot of people.
What would you say is the attribution, or what do you?
It's just like kind of the way that I was raised. I was the youngest in my family, and I was always like, the kid. I was always the kid, so that's really what it was. Okay. I wasn't like super shy and like not talkative at all, but I was definitely like more similar to your husband, for instance.
Okay, a little bit more reserved.
A little bit more, and now I'm like the opposite and have zero filter, and it gets me in trouble. Yeah. But it's fun.
Well, that's great. That's what gravitates a lot of people like myself to you, because I know what I'm getting. I guess, But that's an intimidation part.
Yeah, but I also think that's a good thing, because then you work with people who are like you, or at least like understanding of how you behave.
Right.
So would you say, like, so we'll relate this a little bit to business, just so we can say that this was a business.
An industry, industry podcast.
Right. And then we could go back to whatever. But would you say, like, for instance, with your buyers, your sellers, that you take the lead, right? You're the one that controls it, and they love that, I imagine, because planning all this stuff, like when it's buying and selling a home, quite frankly, is not only really stressful, but it's absolutely exhausting from a buyer and a seller's point. So like you come out and your selling point, maybe you don't say it, but they feel it. It's like, if that's going to handle this.
Well, I do, because I tell them, and a lot of my clients ends up following me on social media, which is like, oh my God, because then they really see, 100% who I am. But I do tell them, if it's a couple, like, let me tell you something. after we're done, it's the three, like, we are married. Like, we're going to be married until this is literally done, which means I need to know when you're out of town. I need to know when you're going to be home. I need to know your days off. I need to know your vacations. I need to know everything that's going on in this household until we're done.
Awesome.
And sometimes they get a little laugh, right? They're like, oh, and I'm like, no, but I'm serious, you know? And then we'll be friends after this, you know? But 100%, I agree. I think it's also trusting, right? Like, there has to be...
Well, they must love that. And what's great about that, too, is that it sets the expectation for the client.
Right.
Right? Because a lot of people... realtors, loan officers, like, won't even have that conversation with the client, and then they have no idea what to expect.
Right.
Right. So it's
right.
But this way, they know that they can trust you.
Right.
And whatever it is, they'll just come to you. You figure it out.
100%.
How long have you been in the business?
So you just asked me that. 2006, I did title.
Oh shit.
I know, but I'm still 27.
I was gonna say you look
27.
Than, yeah.
27.
We won't get into that, but you look amazing.
27. Thank you. 2006, I did title. I did title for a couple of years. I lived in Florida.
Where in Florida?
Orlando.
Oh, nice.
Don't ask. And I was there for about 5 years. I did title, and then fast forward, I got into sales 2018, maybe 2018. I got into sales.
Good timing.
Good timing. And it was literally just like chance, just coincidence, I guess. I don't know. Or by chance.
Just, like, how?
It wasn't, the intent wasn't for me to do real estate full time.
Oh, it was just like a part-time.
It was, so I owned a nail salon and Abel.
Yeah.
Abel.
It was great.
Amazing.
Solid dude. You're related, right?
Yeah.
First cousin?
Yeah.
Got it.
So I was always just like referring him people. I mean, there's people coming into the business every day. So at one point he's like, dude, just get your freaking license and then you just get like a referral commission. I was like, no, not my thing. Then I did a 10X conference, Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
I mean, if you feel like
fun.
Depressed and like you feel like the world, just go to one of these conferences, right? And then you come back like creative and pumped up. So I came back with like a bunch of like just real estate information. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just get the license just to get it and kind of just, work my network and pump it out to Abel. That's really what it was.
Gotcha.
But then thank God, because COVID happened and the salon didn't survive.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry to hear that, but unfortunately that was quite common.
Yeah.
And terrible and crazy. Have you considered opening it back up?
No.
No?
No.
I hear very lucrative business.
It is lucrative, but it does have a ceiling, right? The overhead it's a lot. It's a lot. And at the end of the day, you're either overpaying for a service or you're underpaying and then your bills are not paid. So it just doesn't make sense. It makes sense for people that have studios and like if I'm a nail I didn't know anything about the nail business. It's not like I do nails or anything like that.
Oh, I thought you did. You just
no.
Okay, got it.
I was partnered with my mom in a hair salon. The office space next door became available, and I spoke to the landlord. I was like, give me the space. No idea what we were gonna do, but I was like, it's right next door to the salon. Like we can expand, right? But long story short, the fire department, they didn't approve us blowing up the wall.
Okay.
So I was like, crap, now I'm left with this like office space. I've signed the lease for like 10 years. Like, what am I gonna do?
Oh, shit.
And I was like, well, you know what? I mean, I can really take advantage of the clients next door. Let's just open up a full service nail salon. And then if you run one business, you can run 10, you know?
That's true, yeah. But I feel like with those businesses, the key is to scale. Not scale in terms of the place, but rather new locations.
Right, new locations, which was funny enough my intent going to the Grant Cardone event, because what I initially wanted was, okay, should I franchise this thing? Because I had clients from all over the place. I had a lot of flight attendants, and they would always say like, oh my God, if we can just have a salon like this in Atlanta. And I'm like, oh my God, like that would be pretty cool. But I went with the intention to get franchising information, come back with a real estate license.
Yeah, which I think Grant Cardone likes himself because he wants people in the business to send
100%.
him business, potentially. Not that he was thinking that for you specifically.
Right.
But still, that was when he was like trying to raise money for his...
The capital, the
this
venture.
Was what, 2019?
18, 19, I think it was, yeah. One of those.
I was a fan of Grant. I'm not like not a fan of his, but like I heard some things with like Scientology and
that's my
and then like on top of that he was like defrauding investors, but I don't know how much of that is real or just like the media trying to make him look bad.
I mean, I don't think that you get to where you're at, right, without making some questionable decisions.
Yeah.
Right? And partnerships.
If you're getting high up there. Yeah, I mean, there's got to be an honest way to do it as well.
I'm sure, but I'm also sure it's not as glamorous as...
No, there's no way. Yeah, there's definitely, I know even in the mortgage business, people very high up who, you know, operate in the gray, you know, the gray area, and they, you know, lean a little bit more to the darker side in certain aspects. So it's common, unfortunately, but that's business in general. So I have a question.
Except when you follow the Lord. I'm not in that gray area.
Okay. So you actually, you've spoken a lot about that on your Instagram.
Yes.
What role does religion play into not just your business, but your life?
It's that first and then everything else. My relationship with God is not, it's not up for debate. I'm very deeply rooted in my faith.
Have you always been like that?
I was born in the gospel in terms of my mom is Christian, and the word was always part of life for me. But I was not convicted until my late 20s, early 30s.
Gotcha.
Convicted I got on my knees and was like, Lord, like, you need to show up.
Was there like something that happened in your life that led to that?
Yeah, it was I want to say it was my personal like rock bottom, I guess. And it was out of my hands. It was out of my control. And so it was one of these moments where I was like, Lord, if you say that you're real, you better show up. And like, you know, like now is the time, you know, and I promise you that I will never, you know, look back. And it was almost immediately. And to me, that was the conviction. Like, okay, this is not fluff for me or motivational, you know.
Yeah, it's not spirit. It's just like, what is it? A guide on how to live your life, essentially. Right. Which I feel like a lot of people are missing, and America is becoming less and less and less religious. Which, like, I go back and forth on it because sometimes I'm like, religion is a little bit much. It could be like people that are like too fanatical can be a little bit crazy.
I agree.
But then, like, having zero guide and zero moral compass is way worse.
Clearly,
yeah,
right?
Way worse. I mean, like, if you're looking on how relationships are developing, or like the divorce rate, like something I talk to people about all the time, right? And I saw this TikTok with this divorce attorney talking about it. Like, the divorce rate is 57% right now. Right, and but what he said, like, that didn't surprise me. But what he said afterward was really, really interesting. So, if 57% of people get divorced, think about how many people are left over because they're staying together for financial reasons or they're staying for kids, right? That's probably another 30 to 40%. So realistically, like 1 to 10% of couples are truly like happy. That's insane.
Wow.
That's insane, right? Like, to just sign up for something where you've got like a 5 to 10% chance of actually being happy, which is why I think people need to be really, really careful.
Right. I agree.
Really careful.
I agree.
It's kind of scary, actually, to think about like the financial implications of getting married, both on the man's side and the woman's side. Right. You know, a lot of women are paying child support, alimony to their ex-bum husband, right? So it's, I mean, on our side as well, obviously. It's just it's going in that direction, and I don't know what to make of it, honestly. It's what it's attributed to a lot of people saying it's, you know, social media and dating apps and so many options. And
for me, it's going to always go back to we've removed God from everything. And I think that when we start believing that we have full control of, for me, at least, the minute you remove that, that's when you start seeing like the crap happening, right? And then you're trying to like control everything, and you can. And there has to, I think that there has to come a time of surrender where you know, like, okay, I can't do this alone. Like, I can't. So then what do you fall back on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I truly don't believe that we have control over anything. I literally think we have zero control. I don't even think we have control over our own actions. And I'm not saying that as in it's a relation to God. I mean, I'll elaborate in a second, but it could be in relation to God. But truth be told, like, we're born in a certain country under a certain family or conditions if you're not born into a family, because that happens too.
Right.
And then like the way that you behave is what? A combination of your DNA, the way that you're raised, and every single piece of, what's the word? Like essentially a thing that happens to you throughout your day to day. Like even me saying this, and this is like some matrix philosophical thing, but it's like what I'm saying now is based on every life experience I've ever had.
Right.
It's not truthfully my decisions. Like, are we conscious? Are we truly conscious? It's hard to really say that we are. Right. And then again, you could attribute that to, maybe that's God that has control over us, or it's something else. I have no idea.
Right. But condition, I mean, that holds truth, right? Like you are, right, like the result of everything else that has happened from the day you were born to yesterday. Yeah. So there's truth to that.
And even before, because it's passed through our DNA as well. Like our
generationally.
Behavior, I think they've shown that trauma can be passed through your DNA.
1,000%, which is why we break generational curses in my family.
How do you do that?
I break generational curses in the name of Jesus.
Okay, that's fair. So I am a Jew, and Jesus was a Jew, so he's cool with me. Right. So yeah.
Right.
Tyler is fairly religious.
Well, it's either that or what.
Yeah, or
like what is my
nothing.
other option?
I think I went through a period in my life where I wouldn't say that I didn't believe in God, but like I really just didn't know if something was out there.
Of course.
And I was raised around a lot of religion until I was like in my mid-teens. And I just kind of came to the conclusion that the world is too complex for it all to be like an accident. Like how do you explain, right? Like it's just, it all just happened. Right. Like over billions of years, like there's more out there. Right. But do you feel that like being involved, or that's not the right way to put it, but do you feel like having a close relationship with God, with Jesus, takes pressure off of you as a person, right? Because you feel like you have something with you, something stronger, something higher.
It does in a way. It does, because it if let me gather my thoughts. Pressure in the sense of I don't have to control. Right? Like I don't have to control every single thing that comes my way. However, there's still a responsibility. Like I cannot walk out of my house in full, right? Like I'm just gonna walk out with zero direction aimlessly, and being irresponsible. Yeah. I think the relief is I don't have to, and I don't want to get too, faithful here because
you're welcome to.
But it relieves the that thing of living in sin, that I'm not captive to my sin, that I can every day count on, that God has me, and that I can choose also to live better the next day. So I think that's the relief part.
I think a lot of people need that because it's something that people struggle with. Because imagine, like, you carry everything yourself. Life is hard. Life is really, really hard. Of course, there are great times for a lot of people, but I think most people in general struggle. Right? Yeah, it's hard day to day. Like, not everyone has a supportive family or even spouse and children, and it's like having something like that, whether it's religion or another outlet, is. I think it's necessary, right? It's a better way to function.
I agree.
Yeah. So I agree. So we'll start on a religious preaching service. That's you and I.
Look at that.
Yeah.
I like that, Ben.
Become one of us.
I also can listen to you speak because I love your accent.
Thank you very much.
So you can continue.
I appreciate
I'll be
that.
here for the hour.
It's real. It's real. I do tend to exaggerate it from time to time.
But you've been here for a while.
20 years. 20 years. I honestly, I consider myself American. I don't identify as British other than for marketing purposes.
Okay.
And that's really just...
I was about to say, isn't that your entire...
Yeah, but look, the reason why is because that's how,
people know you?
Right. So it didn't like, I didn't mean to do it. So the whole thing, it was just like, what do people know me for and what I want them to remember me for? So I want them to remember that I do mortgages and and people know that I'm British. So I kind of went with the British mortgage broker. Like it was that
so
simple.
Funny.
And even when I go to like these conferences, so I go to a lot of mortgage events, anywhere from like 4 to 8 a year across the country, and they all just know me as the British guy from New York. Right. And it just stuck,
that is so funny.
Stuck with it. Yeah, so with that said, I love America. I love guns. I love barbecuing. I love everything American. This country is amazing. I'm not saying it's perfect, right? Like every country has their issues, but it's people don't realize how good they have it here.
I agree.
It's travel.
I was just about to say leave America for a little bit, and then come back and let us know how you really feel.
So like my favorite is like the people that immigrate here and then the whole time.
100%.
Like you'll rarely catch me criticizing America because there's a large part of me that feels grateful for being here. It's not that it was difficult, but it took some time and then considerable amount of money to come here. My parents sacrificed
Wasn't
a lot.
easy.
Yeah, and like all the interviews, and I remember like getting my citizenship. So my mother is Iranian, she's Persian.
Okay.
So as soon as Trump did that like ban on green cards for all Muslim countries or whatever it was, even though my citizenship and nationality is British, it scared the shit out of me. And at the time I was here on a green card, so I went for citizenship immediately. And 6 months later, I became a U.S. citizen.
Wow.
And that was a very, very fulfilling process. You know, it felt great. Go to the courthouse, they swear you in. It's awesome.
I did it in my mid-20s.
Oh, yeah?
I wasn't born here.
How long where were you born?
I was born in Dominican Republic.
Are you 100% Dominican?
100% Dominican.
Husband too?
Yes, but he's American. Although he'll say, "Oh, I'm Dominican." No, you were born in America.
Let him have it.
But I came when
because you're the true immigrant.
I am the true.
Yeah, so you can't let him rob you of that.
Right. So I came when I was 6 or 7.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
How was that for you, transition-wise?
I don't remember. I was a kid, so all my schooling was here. But I got my citizenship after my daughter. So it took me a while. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that must have been not the funnest process.
It's not, because I'm like, and the interviewer person, she was so nasty. Because she was like, how do you not know that? Like, she asked me some questions which they were very juvenile, right? And I answered, she's like, how long have you been here? And I'm like, I came when I was 6. She was like, your parents are so irresponsible. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And you want to say, you,
right, but I couldn't, Yes, ma'am, you're right,
Yeah. Yeah, that's all you can do. They have quite the power trip.
Yeah.
Right, but I guess it's the highlight of their day. Mine was very nice. That's because of your accent. That's probably true. That's what I said, yeah. Again, the accent is real.
Yeah.
I wish I could teach. A lot of people request to be taught. By the way, how good is your Spanish?
Very well.
Okay. A lot of your fluent Spanish speakers?
Not a lot, but bulk.
Is that a market that you feel is underserved? I hear mixed things.
1,000%.
Okay.
1,000%.
And I'm not challenging. I'm asking to people here. How and why do you feel that is?
Because 2 reasons. One, they are so misinformed. What the information that the majority have is that they need $1 million to purchase.
Crazy.
And that they need a 900 credit score, and then they cannot have 1 credit card, and then they need to be making $500,000. Like these absurd, like
that's insane.
Insane. So every time I've had the opportunity to speak to someone that is like, I've been saving for 18 years and I have 140,000 in the bank, but I know that's not enough.
Crazy.
And I'm like, I can get you 2 houses.
So that's amazing. And their face is like, what?
Right, so, it's instantly.
So the other question is, why do you feel the Spanish community is so misinformed? Or maybe it's uninformed and they're just assuming.
I don't think is on purpose. I think is, honestly, I think it just happens. One, if you are an immigrant, right, and there is no one in your home that speaks English, or like, let's just say like a next generation that can help you, you have zero access to that information.
Yeah.
Unless you found a friend or a coworker that gives you.
And the general public is often misinformed anyway, and then they're giving them this advice that they don't even know themselves that is accurate.
Right.
That's unfortunate.
So very few clients have come to me I know that this is how it works. They're always blown away that they're able to purchase.
I think it's honestly better that way, because the clients generally who come forward and like, this is how it's done or this is the way it goes, are usually wrong. And then their head is like, when it comes to educating them, they're like, they don't want to hear it.
Right. And the best part is that usually they have other friends in the same position. So it always works out.
I'm just thinking, what is the best way to go after those people and like educate them? It's hard.
I've seen some agents. I know that there's a really oh my God, I can't remember her name, but she is very, very focused in the Hispanic community. She's a Queens agent. My God, I'll remember her name. And I've seen her even in the news station, like providing free information. But I also think is that us as a just us as a whole, we're always very skeptical. Like, is she really saying the truth? Like, is that really possible?
I think that's fair, honestly, because you have, as we know, so many people on both sides of our business that are sharky and like they're not trying to do the best thing by the consumer. So I genuinely believe that's healthy. Yeah. You know, as long as it doesn't impede you from home ownership. Right. There are so many, for lack of a better term, just shitty people in our business.
Majority.
It's, yeah. Majority. And I don't know why that is. I really don't, because...
for me, this business is made up of one of two things. Either you're in the line of service to service people, or greed. Yeah. And fact is that this is a lucrative business. I'm not going to sit here and say, no. We get into real estate because we know the amount of money that is available, right? And how much you can make in this business. But...
no one makes that much. Not no one, but very few.
Very few make that much, right? And you're chasing one or the other. For me, I think the ones that are always in the service,
Well, it's a healthier way, one, if you just want to, like, I've always tried to approach this thing with, like, think of everything that I do in the business from the consumer's perspective. Right. And then obviously that went to the realtor's perspective. So how do I make it as easy as possible for the consumer to get everything done? And then how do I do it for the realtor as well? Right. And then what happens is that you make more money as a byproduct, because the truth is, it's corny, but it's really true. When you're focusing on the money, you're not focusing on the process. You're just focusing on making money. Right. And then because of that, you're not able, it's not like some kumbaya, like let's all be happy thing. It's literally, it's a matter of efficiency and like how to actually run a successful business. Because if I'm focused on like, okay, this deal is going to bring me X, say what you have to say and close it. Right. Like that mindset doesn't allow me to be like, okay, like my process could be better here. My communication style, like on this milestone, instead of it being email, it should be a phone call or something. Just like these small things, and then like these small things add up, and then it changes you. It separates you from other people. But again, not a lot of people think that way, and because it's a commission-based business and it's like it's tight, like on your neck, you feel like you're being choked half the time. It doesn't allow, because the better way to phrase that is that most agents and loan officers are in survival mode, and because of that, it doesn't give them the space to think and be like, okay, this is the way to do it, right? They just have to jump in and try and make money. So, which is why, like, I'm very fortunate that when I came into the business, I came on given a very small salary, but the salary allowed me to kind of just learn the business, right, and like learn how to structure deals, and that's the way to do it. So I always think if you're going to jump into this business, you need a team lead, a mentor, or both. Yeah, oftentimes the team lead serves as a mentor, right? So you need both. You need both. Otherwise, it's just, unless you're lucky and you got lots of connections and you've been raised extremely well, most people. You just described me, by the way. She's extremely humble as well. Yeah. What else? It was just like beautiful. My nails look great. I did notice your nails, by the way.
Do you? Wow. Thank you. I always try to. It's the one thing I spend money on, to be honest with you.
I didn't know until recently, like within the past year, how expensive it is for a woman to get her nails done.
Insane.
It's like I'm hearing some people say, yeah, 70, but like the
70.
But the average, like I hear, is like 120, 130, and I'm just like, that is insane.
Yeah.
That is just madness.
Yes. Mani-pedi is like about 120 if you include, the tip.
To be fair, I appreciate ladies that get their nails done.
Thank you.
It's I'm not like I can't tell you what the color is or anything, but it's nice. It's a nice thing. Just that you take care of yourself. So
yeah, I appreciate it. I try.
Thing. Yeah, time to open that business back up.
Listen, I don't you want me in real estate?
I want you to be happy and make as much money as you can.
I don't want to be happy because that entails like having to run people. That's a different monster. Like it was great while it lasted, and I think that it served its time in that season, and
You're quite versatile.
Yeah, thank you.
So we'll finish up on some real estate. What is your general feel of the business right now? I'm not even talking about the market.
Yeah.
I just mean the business as a whole. Like with agents, the way everyone's behaving, agents, loan officers, do you feel like it's doom and gloom, that everyone feels like the sky's falling down? Because that's
like I want to say the 75-80%, right? And I'm not going to lie to you. I had a really tough week last week where I thought that, and I think it was because I was also receiving so much of that information that I was like, oh my God, like, should I be considering another, business? Should I be looking at other things? Because the way that this is going it doesn't seem very promising, right? I think that if we, as a whole, right, we are definitely going to see a shift, right? We're going to see where people are going to leave because
bloodbath over the next 6 months.
100, but I mean, it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people that are going to leave the business, and it's because of impatience. It's because they either came in 2021 and made a beautiful bag. Yeah. And now they see that people aren't just like, falling on their laps. And now it actually takes, some
you actually have to work to get business
let me get some work done. But what I do think is that it's going to make this very lean, and it's going to trim the fat, and it's going to allow, I think so. I think that it's going to allow like the rock stars to really shine. Because the things that you do day to day to get to that doesn't change. Like what I'm doing now is exactly what I was doing back in 2020, 2021. You know what I'm saying? Granted, there are more hours now allocated to that before I didn't need. But I think as a whole, we're definitely going to see like a lot of people leaving the industry.
Yeah. Well, we've already seen it on the mortgage side tremendously.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we've lost 50% of the licensed loan officers since 2020, which was at the highest, to be fair. And like a lot of new licenses came in, but like, so you're basically saying that everyone that got in jumped out. I know a few people that legitimately just retired.
Right.
But they were like of age to retire from the business, and it's a tough business to do long term because it's so taxing.
Yeah.
I did want to ask you a question before it slipped my mind. So one of the reasons I wanted you on, because you have great energy, you're very positive, you're warm, you're welcoming. Do you attribute that to anything specific? Whether we could go back to God or anything. And a follow-up to that before you answer is, because I'm asking this because I genuinely feel like being happy and positive literally makes you more productive. It goes into every area of your life. So let's say someone isn't that way and they want to be that person. Obviously, you can't give them an entire blueprint because it's probably complicated, but where would that person start?
This is going to sound so corny.
Corny's fine.
Like so corny, but it is, anyone that knows me personally knows that this is just the way that I am. I make a decision every morning. I make a very clear decision, like today's going to be it is going to be the most phenomenal day ever. Awesome. Are things going to happen? 100%. I'm a mom of two. I'm in real estate and I'm a wife. Do you think that, right? Like it's enough to say. But I make a decision every single day, and every single day I know that I have to be kind, and that I have to be generous, and I have to be loving. It sounds so corny, but it is how I choose.
To the forefront of your brain, right? So you're like, it keeps that in there, so you remain that way.
Yeah.
Is that what it does?
It does. And I think things like generally make me happy. I want to see people. I want to hug people. I want to touch you. Like, for me, those things make me happy. My phone rings. I'm excited to pick it up because there's someone on the other end that said Ivette. Yeah. For whatever the reason being. I don't know. I also look at life like the cup is half full and not half empty.
Yeah.
And things genuinely like make me excited. The other side to that is when I'm not and I'm having an off day, it is so visible. And as much as I try to like hide it or I try to, you know, muster up the like, I'm okay, people know it because it's so polar opposite of you know, of who I am. But I think that, you know, I also have the mentality that not everything is permanent. Not really, nothing in this world is permanent, and you can make the choice and decision to live a life according to how you want to live it. Going out for coffee makes me super happy. Like, it brings me joy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Small things.
It's the small things.
Yeah. Find the small things that make you happy, basically, and do them every day.
But make that decision. Like, you have full authority over how you are going to step into that day. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is why I post time and time again. Like, if today you say, I no longer want to be a mortgage broker, I want to be a pirate in Times Square. Right? Because it's just like, I just want to be a pirate in Times Square. You should have the right to do it for yourself and you don't need to explain anything to anybody. You don't need permission. You don't need, sure, Ben, you can do it. It's what you want to do. So I always say to people, you know, you have the right to change and pivot every single day.
Yeah.
And no one can say anything about it.
And it's on you.
And it's on you, ultimately.
I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Yvette.
You're welcome.
Before we sign off, please tell people that camera who you are, what brokerage you're with, all that stuff, and most importantly, how they can reach you.
Okay. I'm Ivette Guzman. Is it reaching like my Instagram? Because that's probably the best way. Or my phone?
Yeah, it's up to you. You could do both.
Yeah? Okay. I'm Ivette Guzman. I am with EXP, Rebuild's real estate team. And you can reach me at Ivette_Guz.
Diggity dang. Boom.
Diggity dang.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Awesome.